Hello and welcome to the Car Podcast with Chris Harris and his friends. I'm slightly concerned because this is episode 75 and Chris Cooper's holding a lager. You know what that means? You know what that means? He can get a bit loose and potty-mouthed by the end. So, let's go far. Oh God, Manish has got a red wine. Manish had a very stressful day getting back from Madrid. Neil Clifford's had a not very stressful day getting back from London. And I've been in my flat all day because I've spent 5 days in Bonnie, Scotland, where I watched England get absolutely thumped at Murrayfield, which was the weirdest atmosphere ever because it's the best atmosphere I've ever experienced in a sports stadium as we got beaten. How strange is that? So, to show just how fickle we are and how much we love playing the advocate of the devil, this week, more is less. So we've done less is less, we've done more is more, and now Manish is going to start us off with more is less.
So, I think there's just one car, it was always so dear to me, that absolutely personifies more is less, and that is the evolution of the Countach. And if you look at the very, very first one, you go back to the first one, it doesn't have those great big air boxes at the side. It's possibly one of the just the most exciting, simple wedges, and perhaps the writing was on the wall when that car couldn't be cooled down enough. So they had to put those 2 boxes on, which actually I quite like. I quite like those 2 boxes. And you had the LP400 and out it came. And I think it's an object of incredible beauty. The tyres aren't too wide. I don't think it looks that boxy, actually. I think if you look at it carefully, you can see the curves that Gandini puts in. You look at that beautiful rear wheel. It's a kind of ellipse, but with the edge cut off. I mean, the front wheel, it's a proper round wheel arch. It's just, the roof, the little periscopio part. It's a beautiful thing. And then it starts to go wrong. They make it was the 400S. They just called it the S. And they started putting bloody boxes all over it. First starting with the wheel arches. And then you get the wall-to-wolf iteration. Then you get the wing on the back. Then you get the 5000, the 5000S. Then you get the Quattrovalvoli with a hump over the engine hood. This car just gets more and more and more absurd the more they add to it. But just when you think they couldn't drag it any lower, they create the anniversary edition. And it's a sack of shit. It's an abomination. If you just look at the original Gandini car and then you look at this thing with its bizarre straked air intakes, that integrated box, what
Designed
a mess.
famously by who? Designed famously by who?
Yes. Well, given a brief and got paid for it. And did they all sell? Does anyone even know? Did they all sell?
Yeah.
All of the 25?
In those days, Lamborghini just made what they could make. They didn't say we're going to make 3,000.
They just made what is this post Mimran? Is it that sort of, it probably is, isn't it? It just, that car, if you just put all the silhouettes side by side, you would see very, very beautifully how over a period of 25 years, more is definitely less.
It's supposed to be. I
forgot my factoid. Wait there. I forgot my factoid at the beginning of this. I want to get it in now. This is a really good one. It was posted. It was sent to Neil Clifford by Jeremy. To stop Bentley's logo from being copied, they made it asymmetric. Count the number of feathers and you'll see that the right side has 10 and the left side has 11. Jeremy, we love that shit. Sorry to interrupt there. Let's go straight back to Neil.
Well, I agree with you, Manish, really, on the anniversary. But isn't it supposed to be in a bit like a 512 TR? Isn't it supposed to be a better car, the anniversary? Wasn't it sort of, maybe it was made uglier, but also made better to drive and the engine was better?
Who was the test driver? What was his name?
Balboni.
Balboni. When he was asked, which one is the Countach for you? He says it's the LP400. He feels that the tyres give you just the right amount of grip and the car had just the right amount of power. And it was a challenge, and it was something that he still enjoys. And I think by the end, those things were just heavy washing machines, weren't they? Horrible.
It's funny, isn't it? I'm
I'd
not
have
going to
one.
question Mr. Balboni's opinion, but I thought a 5,000. I like the Quattro Valvoli, and I like the way it looks because I think that was my poster car. So
Exactly.
this is the strange thing. When I first saw a 400, it looked weird to me. It looked too skinny and it looked a bit emaciated. And it took me a while and a bit of age to appreciate the beauty and simplicity of the lines because I love the wide-bodied Quattro Valvoli. That was the Athena poster, wasn't it?
It
I,
was.
Lots
I
of red
own
and
the
black.
Athena poster Guy's Countach, the black with black car, right-hand drive. I stupidly sold it. Harvey, now at RM, bastard, he bought it off me and he shouldn't have done. He should have persuaded me to keep it, even though I hated it.
Buy it back, Neil. Go on.
No, it's about 7 times the price now.
Well,
Yeah, they are. More is less, Chris Cooper.
Do you know when I realised this was true? It was last Saturday when I was actually in the house by myself, and Lynn was away somewhere for the weekend. Boys were both doing their things, and I had a really, really bastard week. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to do a guilty
Where are you going
secret.
with this?
I'm going to order a burger.
Phew.
I'm going to order a burger from one of those app things on here. And like everything in modern life, it says to you, would you like extra? Would you like an extra patty, extra slice of... I thought, well, that's brilliant. So I went onto the Five Guys burger thing. Other burger purveyors are available.
Lovely.
And I thought, I'm going to get the burger because you got your last order, which is great. I think, could you want to add a bit more? So I thought, well, it's bound to be better. Adding another slice of meat to it. And it ruined it. It's just too much. It had a catastrophic... I said catastrophic. It was still a burger. It was lovely. And I had a lovely Saturday night watching a rerun of Slow Horses or something like that by myself. It was a real, just bit of me time. It was really nice. And the car... This is how fickle we are. The car that I thought about when I was having that burger, and I thought, I was wrong about that. It's that one. Again, it's the one I thought more is more.
Yeah.
I've changed my mind. I think that is too much. More is less. But there is one car that I think, and this is all first world problems, isn't it? Where you think it's bound to make it better, but it doesn't. A normal full-size Range Rover with the very, very powerful petrol engines don't work. More is less. Because it's too much power and the body's got too much pitch and dive and roll. And how often, even by yourself, would you use full throttle, let alone with anybody else in there? Diesel engines in those big ranges, it's fine. Big petrol, supercharged turbo engines wrong. So thank you, Five Guys and Deliveroo, for proving and reminding to me that actually more can be less.
Thank you for confirming that next week your opinions will be completely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guarantee.
But I think there's something very poignant in your burger
There is.
comparison there. I'll tell you why. Because it's not just more; it's about upsetting the balance of components.
That's why I chose it.
And I think you're quite right, because what happens is you realise that whoever signed off the Five Guys burger really knew what they were doing, because when you bite into it, you get just the right amount of squish, right amount of meat, cheese, bread, and everything else. And if you put an extra patty in there, suddenly it just becomes a meat. It's not a burger, it's a meat.
Exactly.
And I think cars can be like this. If you over-egg them in certain areas, if you go too much engine, too much suspension, not normally those things, too much exhaust. I did something the other day, the exhaust was just too loud. And actually it just took over. So more was less. Where's Neil Clifford on this?
I think the burger analogy, it could be the analogy of the year.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's so good. We all it all just made so much sense when you mentioned the word burger. He's nailed it. It's amazing. My analogy is the absolutely bloody awful 70th anniversary Defender V8.
Yes.
That was made by, bless them, Land Rover Classic. Brilliant idea.
That's a very good example.
It looked like they were making the perfect Defender. We all got so excited. Bit of a silly bloody price, but anyway, this was going to be a keeper. It would just be incredible. It's the last proper Defender. They're taking the V8 from the Jaguar or whatever it was, and they're making it by hand and bespoke, and it's all wonderful. It was crap because it wasn't balanced. There were 3 burgers in the bun because that it was such an over-engined car. And I knew it. I went up to wherever that Leamington Spa or wherever that lovely classic Jaguar Land Rover place is, very excited with Emma. Oh my God, we've got our forever Defender. This is going to be amazing. Literally, by the time we got to the M40 going south, I'm like, oh Christ, this is really crap. I thought it was going to be the British G-Wagon.
Yeah.
And it's like a TR7 with a V12 in it with an automatic gearbox. It was really bad. And I mean, they still hold their money, those things. So maybe I think they're like boomerangs. I think people buy them with excitement and then they don't keep them, or they don't drive them, or they think it's an investment and therefore don't drive them, or they sell them on. So that was definitely, whatever this thing is, more is less. That was the car for me. And also wheels. I'd like to add wheels. You can really get it wrong on wheels.
Massively.
If you I'm going to get the 21s, even though the standard's 19s, or I'm going to, get the flashy ones. Always go for the basic wheel. I think in the end, it looks better than the optional wheel.
I think you might be right.
That's a big
By the way,
topic.
go and see a
599
with the rare standard wheel. There's about 4 of them that delivered on the standard wheel. They look superb.
Yes, they do. As does the F12 on that basic German dentist spec, where he walked in and said, I want a Ferrari F12. Please do not sell me any options. I do not care for them.
I think there's one country that's got a bit of a problem with more is less, and it consistently gets it wrong, and that is Germany. So quite often it makes a super duper variant of a car that's already very good, and that super duper variant only serves to remind us how good the existing one was. So E32 BMW 7 Series, they bought out the majestic 750 with the V12. But most people, if you go back and read the reports and if you drive them, the 735i is a sweeter car. It's just a nicer, better balanced car.
Yes.
Audi did the same with the W12 A8. There's so many examples of it's like the Peter principle with cars. Each model range is promoted to its level of
incompetence.
What's the phrase? Inability or something.
Yeah.
The idea that you always get promoted to the point where you're no good at your job. I think the best one I've ever driven by some margin was the previous generation G-Wagon. There was a V12 G65.
What's that?
Yeah.
And they made very few of them. They had about 630 horsepower, but it had so much torque. It was a twin-turbo V12 that you could feel the chassis rails twisting when you accelerated. And I remember being somewhere in southern Germany with Nilo filming it. And I thought the car was broken. But actually, the calibration on the electronic safety systems was so worried about everything that it would, if you just accelerated half throttle, the yellow light would flash and it would just cut everything.
Yes.
It had so much. It just felt like a sort of tuner car. So it really was more with so much less. I think the SL repeatedly did this as well. An SL 500 is a sweet car. The SL 60, if you've driven one, they're not what you think they're going to be. SL 63 that Chris has got is a car. The 65 version of that, it's a bit of a folly, really. The sweet spot tends to be one run down from the top of the ladder.
Yeah, the SL60, all you want is the badge. Everything else is not as good. You just want the badge. And
and the exhaust tips. You want the exhaust tips as well.
The square exhaust tips, yeah.
If you look good. I
mean, sometimes more can be more, but more, I think, in Germany, quite often is a little bit less.
Mm.
The 911 is confusing. It goes through different periods. There's definitely a period for a long time when the turbo was the on-paper car you wanted, but in reality, you just wanted a Carrera. A little C2 on the smaller wheels was the sweeter car. Or it was the one that if you were talking to your friends, if you wanted to look like a real enthusiast, you'd always say, yeah, I've got the baby car. The insinuation being I could afford a turbo, but I prefer the steering feel. Or some wank like that.
With the
But
17-inch wheels.
But actually, these days, the turbo's so mega, I think if you could, you just have a turbo, wouldn't you? It's just a monstrous car. So I think that does ebb and flow. But yeah, there's a lot of these German makers always make one silly version that reminds you how good the previous top of the range was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, I've lost the agenda. I've screenshot the wrong thing.
Bit of
Bear
news.
with me 1 second.
Bit of the news, little update.
Yeah, do some news. Here we go. Do some news. Let's go to Chris Cooper first.
So I thought we'd have a little bit of a quick quiz.
Oh, here we
Because
go.
in the news last week, as in the papers again, the FT this morning, Stellantis has written off 25 billion or whatever it is in the reversal of their EV strategy. Car makers generally have written off nearly 100 billion. Chris, you were saying before we started that when you add it all up, equity loss, everybody's write-off, the total cost of the flip-flopping on strategy could be $1 trillion. And we talked last week about Stellantis, and Neil, you said, well, they only make shit cars or something like that. I'm probably overplaying what you said.
Similar.
I thought we'd have a little game to see, can we guess how many brands Stellantis has got? Actually, what are they?
Oh my God.
Mr. Harris, you go
Jolly
first.
good.
Give me a Stellantis brand. There are 15.
Okay. I'll list them up. I'll go Fiat.
I'll go one each. We've got to go one each round the square.
Yeah. Okay, 15. Sorry, Fiat.
Yep. Neil?
Alfa Romeo.
Yep. Manish?
Peugeot.
Yep. Chris?
How about you, Cooper?
Well, I've got the list.
Maserati.
Oh, you've got the list.
Maserati.
Yeah, Maserati.
Vauxhall.
Yep. Manish?
Citroen.
Yep.
Citroen.
Mr.
You
H.
said Peugeot.
Yeah.
Got that.
Iveco.
No.
Don't know then. Oh, Chrysler.
Yep. Neil?
Jeep.
Yep. Manish?
Ooh, I was going to say Jeep. Come on. In America, Chrysler, Jeep, Peugeot, Citroen.
You're missing one obvious one. Two obvious ones.
Peugeot, Citroen.
Italian.
Yeah, there's an obvious Italian one.
Italian one.
Did you say Alpha?
Yeah, he's got that. There's another obvious Italian one.
It still exists.
Come on. Lancia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Phew.
Chris?
What are we up to?
We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 9 out of the technically 16, 15, 16. I'll give you the rest.
More Americans. Can think
go
of
on.
more Americans.
Yeah.
So the ones you're missing, the obvious one you're missing, Opel,
Yeah.
Dodge.
Yeah, I just said Dodge.
Did you? Sorry, Neil. Neil, you've won this. And
Thank
the
you.
other ones are sort of a bit irritating. Abarth is a brand. DS, the posh bit of Citroen.
Yes.
Ram Trucks, which is kind of a sub-brand of Dodge.
Dodge,
And
yeah.
I've forgotten this. Stellantis owns a 51% stake in Leap Motor, the Chinese EV maker. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 brands. Do you think that's too many? I think it probably is.
It could
Like
Well,
I
well
say,
be.
maybe-
if you are still listening to this podcast now, thank you very much for your support.
Yeah. Alcan, Mr. Alcan.
We're back to John weekly.
Yeah, we've really pushed you. We've really pushed you to the edge there. So Chris Cooper's now going to stand up because he's wearing a jock strap. So you can look at that for a few minutes just to bring the audience back in. Bit of eye candy.
That's all my
Apologies,
news.
it's a cold day. Right, so let's. We're never doing the news again. You bought. I'll tell you about this. So I'll tell you about my private plate very quickly. I'm not sure if it's been resolved. I think I've had a missed phone call. So I bought a private. Just to let you know, word of warning. I've never bought a personalised number plate before. I've bought cars that have them on, and I've had someone at a garage stick a plate on a car for me that I didn't want people to see the other number plate on it for various reasons. But I wanted to buy a funny number plate. And for the fat ice race. So I went through, I think it was reg transfers, and I just clicked on it, and it was about £700 or £800, quite a lot of money for me. And I just thought, well, that'd be good fun. And I got the plates made out, waited for the retention certificate to come through, and I didn't have any emails or anything. I just had a voicemail on my phone a few days later because I was overseas, just saying, "Oh, sorry, you didn't buy it." I went, "Oh, well, how's that then? You've taken the money from my account." They went, "No, we're going to refund it. It wasn't for sale. The person selling it decided not to sell it." What? So just a word of warning out there. These things aren't always for sale. They're not just, they're sort of, you could be a private punter and use it as a listing, like an SOR position for a number plate. And if there's a fixed price and you bid on it, you don't necessarily buy it. But they do take the money from your account. And then they say to you afterwards, "Oh, sorry, you didn't buy it." But the default is, we'll take your money and then we'll decide afterwards. I didn't like it, really. I think they're trying to resolve it. But I thought it was a very strange way to transact. I've never had that before.
Did you get your money back?
Sorry?
Did you get your money back?
Yeah, money has come back. Money has come back now. Yeah. Which is absolutely.
I have had that. I've had that before, and because on certain, we won't mention the websites, but on certain websites that are sort of related to things like registration plates, it says inquire, which therefore that is not for owned. But then if it says buy me or buy now, you assume that one either they own or they're, because I do wonder a little bit that it's a bit like Stellantis, this number plate thing, that there are all these different websites.
Yes.
But actually there is like a Mr. Big of number plates.
John L. number plates.
With like 64,000 computers all around his desk, and all the sales are coming in. And he's in, because I think they're brilliant mathematicians, these guys, that, put the prices up on their website, change the prices. I think the prices change all the time. It's a bit like buying a Ryanair ticket. You watch them. But when I've had that before where you says buy now, and I think, I quite like that plate, some stupid plate that I'm never really going to ever get my money back. But it's not a lot of money, 500 quid or 300 quid, goes with the car, a bit quirky, not too knobby, but a little bit funny or whatever. I know private plates are a bit crap, but anyway. And they then email you the next day and say, "I'm sorry, the owner's decided, or we can't get hold of the owner." So it is, you've got to be a little bit careful that you think you own it, as Chris said, but sometimes you don't.
I suppose if I just got a message saying, "Bad luck, it wasn't for sale," I wouldn't give a shit, but they took the money. That's the bit I didn't like. I thought that was a bit naughty.
Yeah.
And I suppose maybe this is a segue into another subject for another week. Stuff you've never done before, but you've really plucked up the courage to have a go, and it blows up in your face. Like I probably I'm very sneery about number plates. I don't really like them, so I'm sitting there going, "I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this." Goes against everything that I thought I stood for, but I'm going to have a go because everyone has these things. It could be quite good fun to put this plate on this car. Let's have a go. Then it all went to shit. So I'll never buy another number plate. It's like waiting. You never eat fish, and the first fish dish you order's off.
My sister was successful in buying a number plate for her Golf. She's a GP, and every time I see this car, I think she has to get her head examined. Her registration plate, and I kid you not, reads "Sick Doctor," and I don't want one of those. Do you? As my GP,
what does it say on the number plate?
DR. Her registration plate is "Sick Doctor." Why would you want a sick doctor?
It's actually quite like that.
God,
Sick
I'll tell
doctor.
her.
So there you go. Just everyone, if you like these number plates, I get it, but just
I'll
watch
tell you
out.
the other thing, Chris. Sorry, I do own a couple of number plates, and my number.
A couple.
Let me finish. My number plates, I can put them onto these famous websites that we all know, and they're there for sale.
Yeah.
They're there for sale. And no one's ever contacted me about, can I put your number plate up on the website? But that's quite cheeky.
That is cheeky. I suspect it's because it's not a regulated sector. And there's this some people who listen to this will know this better than me. but technically you don't own a number plate. They remain the property of in the UK, of the driver and vehicle licensing agency. Every country, they must work differently in different countries, but in the UK, they're issued by the DVLA. They remain the property of DVLA. What people are buying and selling is the right to use them or assign them to a vehicle. And if they have an interesting number, then there's a value attached to selling that right of assignment, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. But it does appear to be just an absolute, I've one of these years ago, I had a very similar experience, Chris, to you, I suspect with the same firm. And since then, they've been texting me a lot recently, and they'll send me a number plate which sort of vaguely approximates to my surname, but only if you're looking at it from Mars. And then the next week, the price of that will have gone up. I'm thinking, that's really interesting. Is that meant to tempt me? Think if I necessarily buy it now, it'll be sold? I thought, well, I didn't want it last week when it was quite cheap, and now I definitely don't want it. Very odd algorithm. It might be, as you say, the Mr. Big with his fluffy white cat.
I think there's just one bloke.
Is it
But
one bloke?
he doesn't run the DVLA website, does he? That's
No,
the
I
one
hope
thing
not.
he doesn't do.
No.
And that's
If you go to France,
the
you
one
want
that I
these
look at.
menthol eucalyptus tissues. They are absolutely superb. Fully. You've got a cold.
Did you notice that we need to talk about that? Everyday items that are branded with some of our favourite cars, as your little balsam infused tissues were.
Lotus. So the number plate thing, I think. Let me just wrap that one up. I don't have a problem with any of it. I don't actually have a problem with speculatively listing number plates that aren't yours, because someone might get 100 grand for a plate they never thought they might get an offer. So all that stuff I don't mind. And the world, an unregulated world, I prefer to a regulated one anyway. But I don't think you could take money for something that was never for sale and then just go, "Ooh, sorry, we'll give you the money back." I think that's naughty.
It's naughty.
I think that's a bit naughty. And I think what you should be told probably is that you're not guaranteed. You've not bought this till you bought it. Until the paperwork lands, you haven't bought it. I think the assumption is that when you've pressed go, and then I send all my maybe I'm pissed off because I sent all my mates notes going, "Oh, I bought this really cool plate."
Yeah,
and I hadn't bought fuck all.
If it said bid now or inquire, the chances of you doing that is like 5%.
It's like POA, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't inquire, you don't bother. If you think you can buy it, and maybe they're obviously taking a punt, aren't they? That they think, okay, well we've done a calculation, we've got our algorithm. It's told us roughly how much that plate is worth because it's got a single digit and 3 letters, and they're all about this unless there's like cock or some silly word in it or something. So they know roughly how much it is, and then they take a punt and they email the people. And if they can't, most importantly, you probably can't get hold of them. Because, I haven't registered with any of these websites, but the number plates are on there.
I'm not having a massive go. I just slightly stroppy moment. There we go.
It's interesting.
Stuff that you find a bit irritating. That's what that is. Doesn't ruin your week. Now, this one is controversial. Has Porsche gone a little bit boring? Ooh. Neil Clifford.
I've visited 3 Porsche dealerships in the last month or two. And I came away feeling very weary and sad and a little depressed about a company and a mark and a car thing that I adore, that it all felt a little bit miserable in the showroom. And it felt a little bit miserable because you walk in and they're trying to sell you these electric things, and customers don't want the electric things. They've brilliantly 5 years ago strategically said, I'm sure, we're going to be the first, we're going to be the best. We've got to take on Elon. Porsche is the best automotive brand. We're going to double down, triple down on electric. We're going to spend 20 billion. We're going to build all these factories and we're going to be the first out the block. And then suddenly no one wants them to the demand that was calculated in the spreadsheet. And then half of the cars they did sell are all coming back under warranty, or someone paid 80 grand for a Taycan, and if you're not even going to get a bid off the dealer, it's going to be 30 grand, and you're going to be annoyed, and you've lost money, or the car's broken down, or it's under warranty. You just felt this heavy cloud of angst in the dealership. But then it's reflected in the cars, because suddenly, this is my take on it, I'm maybe being a bit miserable. When I used to, when would I have first really walked into showrooms in a Porsche? 993, I suppose. 993 was my first, mid-90s. Couldn't afford one, but I went in there and nicked the brochures and, had a kick around and sat in one. And oh my God, one day, and the quality of this thing. And it was aspirational. It was like a dream thing for me. And now you walk in. Now, of course, maybe I'm more used to it, and maybe other people have the different feelings they walk in. But all the cars are grey. There's no exciting colours. The most interesting things are the bloody key rings and the cups.
The merch.
And then I look at the model lineup, and of course, we can understand maybe why, because they've been so sort of diverted by this electric thing. There's not many interesting cars. What are we going to go and buy there if we won the lottery or got a big bonus, or your Uncle Reg died and he left you 150 grand? What are you going to walk in there and buy? Now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you are going to walk in and say, "Please, sir, can you get me a Touring and I want the rear seats?" And the salesman's going to say, "Sorry about that. We can't get you one of those, but we can sell you an electric Macan." Because we can't actually sell you anything of what you actually want to buy. But where are the new exciting cars? Where's the 849 Testarossa from Porsche at 400 or 500 grand? That's a Mini 918. Or where is the 928? Or where is the Mini Boxster RS thing that's like limited edition? Or where's the Macan GT? I think it's all gone a bit flat as a pancake, and then the quality. I know there was that transition from 993 to 996, wasn't there? Where you thought, oh, God, I know it's a better car, and the magazine says it's a better car, but they've used quite shit plastic.
Yeah.
That's all happened all over again. And unless you specify extra leather, the inside of those cars looks like a bloody Ford Taurus.
Yeah.
It looks cheap, and the plastic looks cheap. And I'm like, oh my God, at least Ferrari are having a go. We can criticize Ferrari for what their cars look like, and they're not so chic, and Pininfarina, bring back Pininfarina, and fucking Luca Montezemolo and all that bollocks. But the truth is, at least they're having a go. At least the cars look like they're designing for the future. Porsche look like their brain has fallen out. So what do we think about that?
Yes.
That's a lot to digest, and I think most of it is very true. I think the great car companies are like human beings, and their lives are soap operas, and they go through these periods of struggling, then they renew, and then they succeed, and they knock it out of the park. But there's always a sort of generational blip with Porsche, and I think we're just going through one now. They had it 20 years ago, or a bit more, and they had it 10 years before that, and they famously. So, yeah, Mr. Bloomer bet the house on electric, and it didn't work. So all the money that would have gone into designing a really, the thing that would solve the problem is this: if there was a really cool, pretty new Boxster Cayman coming out now that had a really clever ICE or maybe a mild hybrid engine that was really fast and was 1,400 kilograms or 1,500 kilograms, you'd be going, I've just been to the Porsche dealer. You won't believe how cool this little sports car is. It would change everything. But the 911 has become a very big, very expensive product. And I don't think the 992 is the greatest 911. I still think it's a fabulous car. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think it's the greatest 911. It's a big car now as well. And it's you've chosen a very unfortunate point in the model cycle. Certainly, Panamera is no longer. You can't get the sausage anymore, which is a real shame. The new Cayenne is just an electric behemoth, and you can't get the new the new Macan is another electric vehicle. It looks like the Boxster Cayman might not even come to market, which I think is a finished car.
The EV
That's
one.
unprecedented. You finish a car and you don't sell it. We don't know that for a fact yet, but I'm hearing that might be the case. So I think they're in a really tricky position. But as D. Ream once said,
Can only
get better.
Yeah.
and I think if I'm looking on the positive side, Porsche is one of those companies that when it needs to recover, it does slightly wild things. You get 959s, you get 918s, you get really wacky stuff. And I personally think, I probably haven't said this publicly enough, I think the GT3 should be the normal 911. I think there's a whole load of shit going on out there. I think there should be fewer 911s. I just think that if you want to, you either have a turbo or a GT3 and stuff all the others, all the long name bullshit. I can't be bothered with it. And don't limit the numbers. Make 30,000 of bloody things and fill your boots.
Yeah.
And they should depreciate like normal cars. Get on with it. That's what it should be, really. So, isn't it sad to see? It's a bit like going to see your mate who started his own business 10 years ago and he's making all the money, and now he's sitting there and he's working every Sunday and it's not going so well, and it's tough. I think I went to a Porsche dealership before Christmas and it was tough, but there we go. There he is. Good lad. He looks like a robber.
He does. Vincent the robber.
I get it, but it's unfortunate timing in the model cycle, but they will recover. They will recover and they'll give us some cool shit. I know they will.
You just do wonder about, Neil would have been 28 in the mid-90s, and you do wonder whether 28-year-olds do walk into Porsche dealerships now and kick the tires and try to, blag a test drive or just sit in one. And, something in my little internal soul says they probably don't, not in the same way. I mean, there was such extraordinarily aspirational cars in the late 80s, early 90s. And there were two other things that you said, Chris, in the past, which is when you sort of get something so right, so early, which is what the 911 was, it's all very asymptotic, isn't it? You're just trying to get better and better and better, but you're never going to reach perfection. But that journey, maybe over the last 10 or 15 years, has actually been not that great. And that's the thing that you're feeling, 99% of the curve is something Neil experienced maybe by the time you were 45, Neil, and that last tiny bit is just not doing it for you anymore. And then we always point out, these cars are getting bigger and bigger. I'm always blown away by a Porsche from 2025 compared to a Porsche from 1967. You look at the size, but then you've pointed out, hey, they're bigger, but compared to the old turbos, for example, they don't have turbo lag. They're actually extremely well built. They've got so many systems on them. They don't feel like a big, heavy car anymore. And then, there are purists saying, yeah, but you've got a load of systems doing this. And there was something rather wonderful about the engine note. There was something rather wonderful about the way you could change gears. There was something wonderful about the way the thing spooled up. I do wonder, the more scary thing for me, rather than going through a difficult period, is if this is not a difficult period manifest by the fact that, they've had to divert so much of their brain power to electricity, but much more a sort of generational thing that younger people are just not interested in the product in that same massively aspirational way. I may be wrong. I hope so.
I think that I'm not sure that's right.
Good.
I agree with everything you said, but I'm not sure. So my take on this.
The danger of these. Sorry, Chris Cooper needs to have his go here. Sorry.
In the last 30 years, actually, 30 odd years, maybe 29 years, Porsche has introduced the Cayenne, Cayman, Boxer with a roof, already had that, Panamera, Macan, and Taycan. If they'd started 30 years ago with that product range, it wouldn't be Porsche. It would be something else. And the 911, Neil's story is very similar to mine. I remember, we talked about this before. We all try and do something before we can afford it. You go into a Porsche dealer well before you really got a right to be there. It's human nature. And when my first 911 was a 993 in 1997. It was a 993 C2S.
Yeah.
And it's the one they had in the dealership. It was it was a 2-wheel drive with the wide rear arches. I couldn't have been more excited and happy and made up. My life is complete. I didn't care there was a turbo. In other words, the basic 911 was a great 911. And now it doesn't feel that way. Unless you have a GT3 or one of the turbos, you think, well, actually, I've not really bought a 911. And I think that's wrong. So Chris, I agree with you. I think the GT3 should be the 911, because 30 years ago, when we first started thinking about them, to us, that's how they felt. And now they don't. And I think the third thing, and I think you've already said it, I'm not a retailer. Neil, you're a retailer. You and I were at one of those dealers together the other weekend. And we both said they need a new product. From a retail point of view, it's staggering how little new product at the heart of the brand they've had in 30 years. Is it a 968? Is it a 928? The Panamera. Okay, perhaps they didn't do a Panamera-based thing because that's like a Continental and that encroaches on Bentley. But hey, live a little. You're quite clever at what you do. And I just wonder whether there's been this corporate assumption that we've got a 911, we'll protect that, have the specials and the turbos and all those kind of things, and the mystique about the waiting list of a GT3 and residuals of that, and they had to go large on EV, they thought, because that's where the world was going. But for 30 years worth of product to basically have had nothing new and exciting other than the Cayman, which they already had, it was a Boxster with a lid. 30 years, bloody hell! When you say it like that, you think, right, okay, we'll come over to Stuttgart and spend half a day, and we'll think about the new product.
The last car that I wanted from Porsche, but I couldn't get one, was a Dakar. I thought I had whatever it is, a lot. I thought Dakar is cool.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think they should, and I'm sure it's about brain power and funding, and I'm sure there's whatever 8 or 9 billion that they've allocated to basically change direction means that in the next 3 or 4 years, we all hope there's going to be a raft of new, exciting things. When I was at the dealer recently and I saw, I think it was the Macan Turbo, a Macan Electric, a brand new one, and it had turbo written on the back. And I'm like, why has it got turbo written on the back? It hasn't got turbo. Turbo is a trim level now, sir. And I'm like,
when they launched that car, that was so controversial. I mean, that was, I think a bit of piston heads actually exploded. I think there was actually spit coming out of my computer as the PH massive. But I'll tell you something about Porsche that I find fascinating. If you've interacted with them for decades, you meet board members and you meet people in senior positions and you meet people that actually define the product strategy. The 911 it's the golden goose. It's everything. It doesn't always make the most money, but they know it's what defines the company. And they know that the health of the company can really be diagnosed through the health of the 911. It's the metaphor for Porsche. It is Porsche. And when the car gets a bit big, and there are 47 model variants of the 911, history tells us that it's probably it's gone a bit too far. But most companies have to go a bit too far before they rein themselves back in. But there is something about the 911 that I've always disagreed with Porsche. It's never wanted to really compete with its own car. So anything else it did had to basically give Lord 911 a bit of space. If you do a GT4, it can't be fast as a GT3. If you do any kind of car, the 911's got to be left in its own space. I fundamentally disagree with that. I think competition is everything. If I was Porsche, I'd have had a Skunk Works outfit in Weissach trying to develop a car to beat the 911 myself. And I'd have made it, because the one thing that would have happened is the 911 would have got better and better and better. And I think that's the level of competitive internal thinking that I wish that maybe they'd assumed a while ago. Because at the moment, there's no competition, as you say. It's just that the 911 tries to be, for the next 3 years or 4 years, the 911 will have to be a Cayman, a Boxster, a 911, and it'll have to be a 928. Yeah. And it'll have to be a 968. And it can't be all those things.
That's a very good analogy and summary.
So
And as for those clocks on the can someone have a new idea? No one has ever used that clock thing.
On top of the dash.
You press it once and go, oh look, it's all going round and round. Then you never touch it ever again. There must be someone responsible for new ideas there that to get us excited. We're easily excitable. It doesn't take much.
Look, for now, just buy a used one, and I'm sure good times will return. Also,
yeah.
If you drive the new GTS, it's pretty magnificent. The technology in that, and the turbo is a belter. And if you can afford an ST, great. But yeah, it's tough times for them. But they've looked in the mirror, and I think it sounds like they're about to make a very, very brave decision on a particular car.
Well, I suppose it's back to the 964. They're back to 1993, aren't they? The lowest production period. I'm sure, because they came right out of the traps brilliantly, didn't they? So we all keep our fingers crossed that exactly the same, that the 994 or whatever's coming, or what other models now they're designing.
We're gonna get a 968 Turbo S style car.
Yes.
They're gonna make 12 of them. Yeah. Be careful. My lovely Shure microphone had unscrewed itself, and in a protest at my shit verbiage, had turned itself 180 against. Well, it literally had. Kid had protested and just got the other way.
The microphone.
He just did this. He went.
No.
Bastard.
Right.
Remind me who sent them out again.
Thank you. Let's move on. Thank you, Chris Cooper, for sending me a WhatsApp going, we can't fucking hear you. The pleasure for using a car. Did everyone answer that? We didn't we?
We did.
The pleasure for using a car as it was designed. I love this.
This is brilliant.
I've got one you won't beat. I'm going to go first to Chris Cooper.
This is about the undiluted knowledge and certainty that somebody somewhere, a whole bunch of people, were thinking about how to make you feel good at a particular set of circumstances. And those circumstances could be really narrow or really, really broad. So this is not just extreme cars. I've said this before. I think the VW Golf Mark 7 1.4 TSI is an extraordinary car because the people who made it thought about so many different scenarios in your life, whether you're driving down the motorway, trying to get through town, going out for an evening, on a bumpy country road where you'd appreciate ride control and suspension, all those kind of things. And I think that knowledge, that understanding is the absolute expression of the pleasure. And somebody somewhere knows exactly how I feel right now. I'm doing exactly what they wanted. If I had to think of one car, the obvious car is a GT3 RS 911, despite what we talked about. Whereas when you're driving one of those on the Nürburgring, you know there is nothing else in the world for a moment that matters other than how this car goes round the hallowed tarmac, is it? But the one I choose...
Also, it just feels so comfortable. It's like it would drive itself round there.
It is.
Oh my God, you were designed to do this.
Yeah, and the knowledge of... I've distilled the pleasure and the thrill of driving to the coming together of that car and this piece of road. And that's exactly what it was designed to do. And nothing else matters. If I had to choose one, though, and I know this is the Marmite bit, because I know, Chris, you hate this. Well, that may be too strong a word. I know you're not a big fan. It's a Defender. 100%. The first time I drove a Defender off-road, suddenly it all made sense. I think the pleasure of using a car as it was designed separates why did it feel in those other circumstances as a really irritating and frustrating thing.
Good point.
But now it feels perfect and unimaginably impossible to better.
Yeah, I like that.
And a Defender, when I first drove a Defender off-road, I thought, God, the Wilkes brothers and all that stuff, they were right. I think this is a great. We should do this every week. This question is fantastic.
Enough defender chat there. So we move on. Let's go to Neil Clifford. Hopefully, we'll recover the situation.
I think this is lovely. The only thing that I've never done is enjoyed a car that's designed for the track on the track. I bloody hate it. It's even worse being a passenger, by the way, but I actually prefer being a passenger because at least if we crash, it's not my fault. But I've got so many different analogies of this, but I'll go to Chris Cooper just a moment ago. My son owns a 1.4 Golf Mark 7.5. He lives in London. I had to drive it home this evening because my other son, T Delivery, Vincent, needs to borrow the car. He hasn't got a car himself. He's just passed his test. So I drove it home tonight, an hour and a half from Farringdon, pissing with rain, dreadful traffic, A1, M1, M25, A41, hour and a half, trying to get back for the podcast. I couldn't have been happier. It honestly is such a fabulous car that it will go as the Guinness Book of Records as the best ever car.
Think so?
It's I when I got home, I said to my wife, honestly, darling, that car is just fabulous. The build quality, the ride, all of the buttons are in a perfect place. Everything is illuminated correctly. We know it's the last of PX, probably. The quality of everything, both what you can see and what you can't see, it's screwed together. The screws are this long when they could only have to be that long, but they use extra long ones instead. It's not been bettered.
No.
And it was just a random hour and a half journey in shitty weather, in shitty traffic, and it was a joy.
Manish.
Well, the flip side to this, which is the car that you are driven in, or chauffeured in, I should say, that gives you an absolute sense of occasion, and you just know that this is why this car was built. And there's one version of this car which I think you can flip around and drive and feel just as good driving this car as you do in the back. And it's not some S-Class Mercedes. I think it is the Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow 2. And I think that car it's just an occasion. There's one around the corner I've seen, it's clapped out, it's black. You can still see the hand-painted red line going along the side. I see the sun catch its radiator, and a man has bent every one of those to look straight, but they aren't. The seats, the leather, it's not like being educated on what Ferrari was doing in the early 70s by putting vinyl into their cars where people's bums don't go. This car is leather where no bum will ever see it. The back seat is a sofa. The back seat's a sofa. The front seats are huge easy chairs of the type BA Business used to be before the fraud, I think, of the flatbed with its sort of half-inch thick sponge under your bum. I mean, this car, it starts first time round all the time. You sit in the back of it, you feel like Peter Sellers going to a film premiere, but you sit and drive this car. The indicator, you hear this little clunk, and there's a click, click, click as it turns left or right. It's just never been bettered for what it is, which is a limousine that you can drive. And I'll tell you what, this could be my next obsession, because I just think...
Well, on the basis you've answered most questions with this car in the last 3 years, I suggest we've got to get you one.
Yeah,
I know, no, and they're not that expensive. I think to get this car right, and they go on forever. They're
25. You'd get 25.
Beautiful, beautiful car.
But you would go chrome bumpers early car, or would you go later 80s body coloured car bumpers?
No, chrome bumpers.
I think
chrome
early.
Bumpers, early car.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
Shadow 1.
Shadow 1.
I'm now going to do something I never thought I'd do. I'm going to do an impression of Chris Cooper. Right, okay. I'm going to lean in and I'm going to say, you know what this is about, don't you? And I'm going to pause for effect. And I'm going to say, this is about James Bond. Because that's what this is about. Okay? That's my Chris Cooper impression.
That's
You
actually
know what
quite
this is
flattering.
about, don't you?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So, it wasn't meant to be. So I think it's having the tool for the job. That's what, for me, this is about. And I love James Bond films, the car sequences most of the time. They're just so brilliantly childish because he's always presented with the perfect situation to deploy the thing he's got in his car that's only useful in one in a billion situation. You know,
Yes.
and I love, the idea that when he has to cut a piece of wire across a car park, the emblem pops out of the car and cuts it. Happens to be at the right height.
Right height.
I just like that would only have been of use at that height. If that was an inch or above or below, that would be no use. And I think
Yeah.
maybe one of the joys of being in a motor car is that you might be aware that your car has a skill, but you never really get to use it. And when suddenly you do get to use it, you're like, wow, now I get to do it. And I've got the best one of these. It was from my late dear mummy, who she was a bit of an old Barbara Cartland style. She was hilarious. She didn't like horse racing, but she went to Cheltenham once, and she was with my father, and they had a B3 Audi 90 Quattro, that fucking thing that was like a bar of soap with no boot space.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool car.
and they get there, and they're in the car parks, which were not hard standing, and all the people they were with had BMWs. My mother's saying they all had BMWs. And they tried to drive away off the wet grass at the end of the day, and all the BMWs got stuck. And they put this Audi thing in first gear, and it just started to sort of move its wheels, but it wasn't going anywhere. There's a button behind the gear lever that locks the differential in those cars that I don't think anyone ever pressed. And my mother remembered, or I think one of them remembered, that the salesman had said, "You've got this button here, if you get stuck, press that." So they pressed it, it locked the diff, and they drove out, and everyone else was stuck in the field.
That
So
is
they had
very cool.
They had the James Bond moment. And I think this is about finally getting the chance to do what your car can do, which is why I'll tell you one thing I've got wrong. Oh, I've got so many things wrong, but one thing I really got wrong is I used to get sniffy about these experience days. And you buy a car, you should take it. Because if you go to somewhere where they have Land Rover tracks, it's great to wade the thing up to the doors and to see what it can actually do. If you get a Porsche, go to Silverstone and skid it about and see what it can actually do. Because this is really about finding out what your car can actually do. And we live in a time of unprecedented over-engineering. These things can do shit you can't believe. And most of the time, if you just trundle up the M4, you're just scratching at the surface of what it can do. And when you get the chance to do it, do it.
Yeah.
And if you've got a B3 Audi 90 Quattro, press that button. And also, if you've got one of those, can you explain to me that weird, the headphone sockets on the rear seat? They had headphone sockets on the rear thing behind the headrest, whatever you call that. And I never could work them in that car. I used to plug my headphones in, but I wouldn't get any music coming out. I'd love to know how that works. Someone's got messages coming in. Stop it.
It's bloody JK asking me if carbon black is worth an $8,000 extra.
Tell him you're doing a pod.
Yes, I'm serious.
This is the most first world podcast I've ever heard in
Yeah.
my life. Manager just complained that the seat cushions on BA business class
I've
are a
even
bit
turned
thin.
my phone off. It's still coming through.
With iMessages.
Right,
No.
here we go. Now we're going to go to our two. Oh, this is good. Is the two-car garage the New Zealand one?
Yeah. I don't know how do you turn this shit off.
Just press the thing, the
it's
silence
iMessages.
it, the button on the side.
It's on your. It's coming
No,
through
no,
your
Not on his
laptop.
computer now.
I've turned
No,
off
it's
my
coming through your
phone.
laptop. It's coming through your laptop.
Right,
The
I'm
messages are
doing
coming through your laptop.
I know.
Okay.
I can't help you.
Just say, Jay, can you fuck off for a minute, please?
Yes.
Here we go.
honestly, bless him.
By the way, how about two-car garage? Two fun cars. One a classic four-seater, brackets daily. One a two-seater, both beautiful enough to make you stop and look back after being parked. That's a really good way to describe whether you like a car or not. But I always turn around and look at, right, Clifford, stop your bloody phone.
Can't do anything
Okay.
about it,
Can you
darling.
call him and tell him we're doing important work?
Yeah. I will.
Both capable of providing great joy on New Zealand and South Island roads. Budget, 150k.
New Zealand
How much is
dollars.
that in pounds?
66,000.
In New Zealand.
66,000 pounds. 66.
Okay. Manish, you go first, please.
Okay. Can I just say that I thought the full version of this two-car garage was rather lovely.
It was lovely. It is lovely.
Yeah.
And it's
Do
so
you want me to read
nice.
the whole thing out?
Man, you want to read it?
Yeah, do you want to read it? But I think it's beautiful.
No, you
really
read it. You read it. You read it. I wasn't trying to ignore it. I just wanted to get through the agenda. That's all.
Oh, sorry. Then I've got to quickly find it, which I will do. Give me 1 second. Here it is. This podcast is the highlight of my Friday evening New Zealand time. I've watched every episode of your podcast since day one. I was inspired to take every Friday off and drive the beautiful roads on my doorstep in New Zealand, whatever piece of tat I purchased last. Thanks for the service you provide to all men with this affliction. True mental medicine. Currently, love this. In the stable, 67 Merc W108 iDaily, a 59 Alpha Sprint and a 2005 Boxster. So, by the way, how about a silly two-car garage that will stretch the knowledge of the team? And then you added that. And, I mean, this
Brilliant.
whole podcast is about personality, isn't it? And
Jay
you can
wants
really...
to say hello.
Hello, Jay.
Hello, Jay. Stop texting during the pod.
He called me.
Called you earlier. We were discussing. What were we discussing?
I know what you were discussing. You were discussing.
This is right. Manish, get yourself ready.
Okay, I am ready.
Exactly. I'll ring you back in 20. All right, darling. See you. Bye. Right. He's not going to text any longer.
You call JK darling.
Yes.
Goodness me.
Does, yeah.
All right, so this is technically a four-seater, but it's a coupe. It's a car that I've been in love with for a very long time. I don't think I can stop looking at it. Forget about if it was parked. But I found a 1981 BMW 6 Series, a 635. It's a 5-speed manual. And what was so beautiful about this car were the number of miles that it done. It's done 51,000 kilometers. He doesn't listen, does he?
No.
He doesn't listen.
Doesn't listen.
Rock stars. Do rock stars listen? No.
Can we get him on here next week? So when he texts
Yeah.
you, at least we can see what he's bloody doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Fucking brilliant.
I think this is just it's an object of beauty. Can you see that thing? Silver and
That
black.
is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you see the inside of this car, and they want 32,000 euros for it. So that's just under 30,000 pounds. It's a beautiful car. So that is that's the daily 4-seat.
Yeah.
Now, I'm afraid I couldn't find this in the auction, but I did find it in the classified. For the 2-seater, again, super low mileage for what it is. 6-speed manual gearbox, 1994 Porsche 968 convertible.
Oh,
That is nice.
oh.
Can you imagine
That is
chucking
good.
her around those twisty
I've got an
roads
extra
in
these.
New Zealand? That was it. And together, they would come to about £65,000. So you'd have a little airfare too. I think it's rather wonderful.
I like those. I mean, anyone's driven the roads in New Zealand, they really are. They're something else. So let's go to Neil Clifford, who really is on the naughty step at the moment.
I am really on the naughty step. So we need a classic 4-door beauty that you're going to look back at, and you need the same for a 2-door. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going a 1991 Mercedes-Benz 500e in Bonite.
What,
Yeah.
for that money?
Yeah, I'm using US dollars because I didn't know what a New Zealand dollar was. But this is similar. Look
I'm
at that.
sure no one's offended in New Zealand or America.
No.
Certainly not in America.
Actually, no, we're almost in budget. Don't worry.
It's half the money.
But yeah, half. But most 4-door cars, saloons, you don't look back. It's really rare.
No, you. It's a strong argument.
It's just, but
Unaffordable,
500e,
but strong.
and I've owned a Bonnet. I've owned that colour actually. you look back at it because those arches are a work of art, because it's a boring car wrapped in the most gorgeous wolf's suit you've ever seen. So you're definitely buying that, and you're going to negotiate hard, and you'll get it cheap. And then 2 doors. I'm doing a mannish, really. A 308 GT4 in blue with tan. Look at that. That is one of the prettiest 2-door cars ever. And it's only 69,000 euros. And the other one is, I think, 68,000 euros. So you're well under the budget of 150 US dollars by $1,000.
Honestly, sometimes think I'm in charge. It's like this is a remedial school and I'm the teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got Cooper supporting. I've got Cooper saying to Clifford, "Don't worry about it on the budget. It's all good."
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the first time officially that I've blown the budget. Cooper does it every week.
Here we go, Mr. Cooper, blow the budget.
You're going to laugh at this, but I think no one will have thought about this, and you'll all be kicking yourselves. So for the 4-seater, that's a fantastic daily, and because a lot of news, I think a long time since I've been there, but South Island, some North Island roads are quite gravelly. Some of them, they're not sealed roads. Some of them, they're amazing. They're mega. I think you would always look back at a VW Jetta 16 valve.
Oh,
That was the thinking person's Golf GTI, mainly because of those wheels.
Show us the wheel. Zoom in on the wheel, please. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They look like a Steely.
They look like a Steely. They've got that beauty. They're an alloy, and that clear glass. That I always thought that Jetta shape. If you knew 16 valve. So I reckon that would go. That's probably 20, 25 grand, maybe. And then the other one, thinking of those lovely South Island, and that car's in the auction, and it starts the day before this goes out. So if you're interested, get yourself logged on to Car and Classic on Friday this week when it comes out. The other one, I'm amazed no one's decided to choose this, because this is such a winner. It is a Lotus Elise S2.
Oh, it's nice.
In the auction. I think nice, lightweight, bit of suspension travel. It's the Lotus Elise that they didn't make 10 years before. I think both of those you could easily get, and that starts in the auction on Wednesday, so it'll still be nicely live on Friday on Car and Classic when we come out. I think those are winners.
So, well done for staying in budget. I agree with the saloon car. Sports cars interesting. My experience of New Zealand roads is they're quite big and open. They like a bit of power, and I think an Elise might be a bit gutless there. Because they're so my 4-door is obviously a beautiful Impreza.
That's a winner.
Because I think if you're in the North Island, you've got a bit of loose surface. You can be a bit cheeky, slide it around on the loose, and I would always turn around and look at a series. That's a facelift actually, but a facelift Gen 1 Impreza is just for me it's an icon now. And now I'm new to these, but these little Z3Ms in silver are, I'm led to believe, really good cars, because whilst you're sitting there talking about steering feel, I'm actually 8 miles further up the road because I've got 321 horsepower, and I'm going much faster. I love these. Dara, we'll do a video soon on mine. Dara just put Bill Stein's widen the rear track, and we've put a new diff in it. We've shortened it all. So now it's a right little monster, and it sits at a steady 4,700 at 85 miles an hour. But we've turned it into a yobbo. So I think that is one of the great undiscovered cars, and the more I've had one for 8 months now, and I really do believe that. So, and I'm so far under budget that with the rest of the money, I'm going to send Neil Clifford on a Know Your International Currency course, which will be. I'll make sure he attends 3 one-hour sessions so he knows what currencies are worth.
I'd love to. Wouldn't it be great just to go to New Zealand with a car for a month and turn your
Oh,
phone off and drive around. It'd be just.
if I
I'd
don't do the Silver Fern Rally this year, I will be mortified. I'm going to do it. Whatever happens, I'll do it. That place, Queenstown
Mega.
as well. When
Yeah.
you go to Queenstown, you're like, I'm staying here.
Yeah.
Why would I
Yeah,
want to go anywhere else?
I did a bungee jump there once. That was a bit hairy,
Um,
but yeah.
let's do some music now because this has gone on far too long. Here we go. Let's go to Manish first, who's going to enlighten us as usual.
You're muted,
Oh,
Manish.
Press your
I
button
muted
on your
myself.
microphone.
Apologies. There was a police
Yep,
car
yep,
going by.
yep.
I've just spent the weekend in Madrid researching possibly the next movie, and I was in I'll tell you, the restaurants in Madrid, goodness me, they take fine dining to a very, very high level. There's nothing less than 10 courses. Each course is probably 2 centimeters square, but my God, the powders, the effusions, whatever. But the music that sits in the background is often very, very good. And so I was shazamming constantly, and I heard this great piece of car music. It's called Don't Turn It Off, featuring Q Zen by a band called 40 Thieves. And I got to tell you, it's a great piece of music to drive
Get some
to.
of that.
Have some of that.
Let's go to Neil Clifford.
My lovely friend Paul went to buy a XJ40 of some sort, went to buy a lovely old Jag, because he's a Jag man, and came back with a one-owner BMW 730. In red, super rare in red, with the very white linen interior.
Wow.
I think it's 20,000 miles, one owner. You know, got all the original number plate, dealer on the number plate,
Nice.
just like a perfect thing. So off he went to buy the one thing you have to go and buy is the updated Blaupunkt Bremen, so you can do your streaming. And then all day Saturday we spent with other mates on our little WhatsApp group talking about what albums, ideally tapes, but then maybe it was early CD, 86, 87, what albums would be in that car. If you went, it was Simply Red, Stars, and it was Madonna. But the one for me is this album cover.
Yeah.
That 1986, that Phil Collins album, totally weird album now. If you think about an album with basically a drummer, but his voice was brilliant and the songs were brilliant. My choice is Take Me Home.
Oh, I love that.
And I've played it a couple of times and it's fantastic. So that
So
would
many
be...
musos hate Genesis and hate Phil Collins. I don't understand it. That he's
bugger
considered to
off.
be, I think he's fantastic.
I don't
There
think
we
you
go.
can hate anything.
That's a great
Let's
track.
go to Neil Clifford.
I just did it.
Sorry, let's go to Chris Cooper.
When I was a student in Southsea, as somebody probably correctly pointed out in the comments last week, I used to do yacht racing across the channel when I was there. And one night, coming back from Cherbourg somewhere, quite windy, blowy, the thing is flying along under three sails, and somebody had a cassette player or something playing that song, that Phil Collins song.
It's a
As you're
wonderful...
getting across the channel and you saw the lighthouse at St. Cat's. I can't tell you how evocative. It's one of the strongest memories of the 80s is that song flying across the channel in this boat. I've gone this week, I think, for the greatest ever pop band ever.
Oh, bold move, bold statement.
ABBA.
Possibly.
The winner
Great.
takes it all. I listened
Great.
to it randomly on Sunday.
Yeah, that's great.
Doopy. Prodigy. I think you've got to be in a certain frame of mind for what is in the top 5 greatest bands ever. They're just the bollocks, aren't they? And I was in the car the other day. I thought, I want to make a bit of time, and I put on funky shit. And you grow a pair of horns in a way that, it should carry a health warning, the Prodigy. If you put it on in a car in the right mood, you're gone. It's just awesome. So thank you for everything they've done to spirited driving, let's say. Well, that was the end of episode 75. No more housekeeping. We'll be around for episode 76. Stay well, and please send us some more factoids. I didn't get my factoid in at the beginning this time. It was ill-disciplined of me. I'll do it next time. But there's a few rolling in, and some of them are absolute corkers. Bye-bye.